Hello, I'm Nerd, and this is the third and final, well, maybe not the final, devlog on Cosmonaut Trashman, which is now available on itch.io. So this vlog is just going to be me showing a time lapse, like I did the other vlogs, with a bit of and this will be like a summing up of making the prototype at least. So it's been quite a slog this, because I think primarily because physics in A-frame is still quite funny. I did just reuse a bunch of old code and tried to rejig it basically, which had pluses and negatives, but because it's such a prototypal project, at this stage I'm just sort of like running with an idea really. It's the whole joy of jamming. So I've got a prototype that works sort of. You can collect the trash objects. Physics seems a bit broken at the minute. I'll also try and fix that. I think it might be something to do with how I'm clearing the scene when the level's loaded. But yeah, generally speaking, it's not gone too bad. I've tried not to burn myself out too much in this project, to be honest. It's just a bit of a fun side project, really. Without further ado, I'll just play the time lapse and then I'll be narrating over it, and then that'll be the end of the video. Like and subscribe if you like content around WebXR, 3D, WebGL, JavaScript in general, programming in general, design. That's what this channel primarily is for. It's just web dev stuff and game design. Alright. Okay, so the second time I'm trying to run through this again. First time I didn't have my mic turned on, typical. Anyway, so onwards with my little chat about what I'm doing here. Basically trying to refine mostly at this stage and test. This is primarily a testing phase. Looking through what I needed to add or what I needed to take away. Looking at optimizing the trash box, taking off some things I thought were redundant in the markup. Just been generally like testing out the physics, testing out the colliders, testing out obviously trying to reduce the frame rate as well, which still remains an issue actually. The frame rate is a bit stuttery at times. I'm not sure why, because there are quite a lot of elements on the A-frame scene, so that might be why. But I have tried to make that better by adding a multiple true flag to the component for the trash boxes. It might be the multiple animations going on, I'm not sure. I was just looking at the visibility, timings and such. Not all of this has been tested to get that core game loop mechanic working, I guess. At this point I was mostly just trying to get the collision boxes to work and just the click event. So though I've actually found out the cursor doesn't really need a click, it just does it when it's based on distance. So I didn't really figure that out before. Probably my own ignorance there. I thought it was literally you had to do an on click, but it's actually when you approach one of these boxes with the cursor with the cursor configured the way I've done it, the fuse cursor, then it works. But that was a bit not obvious before when I was just testing before. So you're doing a lot of that testing. Obviously that red light's been fixed now. It was out of sync before. It just wasn't like in sync with the cursor. That adds a bit of atmosphere. It's like, you've got the tractor beam, the whole tractor beam thing basically. This city that was generated was pretty good. It's quite variable at times. Sometimes it can be a bit off center. I was adding a tab functionality for teleporting. So basically when you start the game you have to press when you want to end the game early, press tab. So if you want to end the game early, you can press tab and then it'll basically just restart the game if you don't want to do the full 8 minutes as it is, which I'll probably reduce. I might reduce that down to 5 because it's I want to make this quite an arcade game really, I suppose, and it makes sense I think to make an arcade game if you're dealing with some game genre as big as a space sim, because space sims are notoriously complicated games. If I was going to try and create an advanced space sim in JavaScript as one person, you could expect to find me in an asylum in the next 2 years, because that is literally a insane project that would drive probably even John Carmack himself completely bonkers and loopy. Uh, to be honest, it just hasn't got. It's not JavaScript and WebGL. Just, I mean, it's possible to do spacings, and I've tried. Believe me, I've tried uh, in JavaScript and with WebGL, but it's maddening. It is absolutely maddening. So this is a good exercise for myself, just in creating a more of an optimized arcade experience instead of going way out of scope and being like, I'm going to create Elite 3D in space, which again, I bought the t-shirt on that one, unfortunately, and it's just like it's ridiculously ambitious, you know. Anyway, I was doing get my writing hat on here, just updating the story, creating some more lore, I suppose, of a sort, and some instructions for the player. Want to make it obvious the controls are. Again, I've tried to keep them quite fairly simple. You just need to move, find trash cans, and there are there's I guess technically 4 movement controls, but that's like enough for the brain to handle. It's not like one of the things I find it really hard actually in a barrier to entry. My enjoyment of things like Elite, games like Elite, for example, is the amount of controls you have to learn. I mean, there's like literally 20 key mappings you have to learn. Those games are an amazing technical achievement, but again, if you're playing a simple arcade game experience like this, which most people will probably play in its current form maybe once or twice and go, oh, that's pretty cool. It has to be that factor in there of, oh, this is interesting. This is either an exploration experience at the minute is what it is, but in terms of making it more of a game, maybe even with a competitive edge in terms of scoring, I'd have to create a scoreboard, which is something I might do. I'm just doing more testing at this point in this very frame. But yeah, that if I was going to develop this further, I need to make it either have a competitive scoreboard element, so there's a back end which takes scores and just displays them. So an online a competitive element. You can collect the most trash. Maybe the randomness goes in there. That just creates. There is scope for that, and it wouldn't be that hard to implement. Basically, I just have to get a database and some. Anyway, that was enough for me yabbering on, I think. Thank you if you've been following me on this devlog process. I'm Noir Nerd. Like and subscribe if you like just exploring code, game development, web design, intersection of those two things. Alright, bye.